Hello chess friends and welcome to your Out of Chess channel and welcome to an incredible game of the official computer chess rating list website, the popular CCRL. We have here Stockfish 15 against Clover in a beautiful advanced variation of the Caro-Kann Defense, and this game I think has everything that a Caro-Kann Defense game is supposed to have. First of all, the common and good strategies for both sides, from white and from black perspective, really the most important strategic concepts of this opening, but then afterwards also the common tactics that I think are possible for both sides. So in my opinion, really a beautiful tactical but also instructive gameplay by these two top engines. So let's see now the game with the white pieces. The fish opened with the move e4, Clover's response was c6, the Caro-Kann, d4, d5, and now we have the e5 move, the advanced variation. Okay, we have now the space advantage in the center of the board, which is of course an advantage for white, but we have also a clarification in the center. What I mean about the clarification in the center is that the pawn structure in the center is not dynamic anymore, which means now that we have a certain blocked out pawn structure in the center of the board, which means that eventually white will coordinate the attack towards the king side, because this pawn chain is showing the direction of attack. So we're trying f4, f5. On the other hand, e6 and c5 are now the common strategies for black, trying of course somehow to keep the pressure around the square d4. So white attacks the king side, black attacks the queen side now. So in the game, bishop to f5, important move. You don't want to get your bishop locked by your own pawn. So first we get the bishop out and then we'll lock the pawn chain with the move e6. So from this square, of course, the bishop has good activities on both sides. So knight to f3, we have now the so-called short variation, getting the knight on the natural square, e6, locking the pawn chain, and now c3, building this healthy pawn structure, a firm pawn structure here on the queen side, and defending of course the pawn chain, which is of course supporting the main space advantage that we have created in the beginning of the opening. So c5, breaking and entering as promised. Black continues the pressure on the queen side, bishop to e2, knight to c6, normal move, and now king side calcing. Now c takes d also by Stockfish, and now knight to e7. Important move for black to get the knight somehow out into the game and then to play bishop to e7. You cannot do it in a different way. If you play bishop to e7, then your bishop is a little bit taking over for your knight, so the knight cannot get access to the square. And if you develop of course your knight on h6, I think immediately white will take it out and create a messed up pawn structure here on the king side, especially with the support. Look at this, bishop to h6, g takes h6. I think you have some worries here. This is a weakness. Knight will come into the game. Where to castle? Castle king side is a suicide, I think, because of the potential g-file attacks, and also castle queen side wouldn't be so good because you have already many weaknesses also on this side of the board. Knight to c3, rook to c1 will eventually happen. The king will be lined up on the c file, so not a good continuation I think here for black. So after c takes d4, that's why knight to e7, rerouting the knight on c8, and then the bishop will come out, and then finally king side calcing. Knight to c3, knight to c8 as promised. Now the bishop can get out, bishop to d3, trading off the bishops, and now bishop to e7, preparing now here king side calcing by black. And what I never liked about the French defense and also about the Caro-Kann defense, and especially this advanced variations, is when black castles king side, notice that there are no good defenders in front of the king. Usually you have the bishop somewhere on e7, but you have also the knight on f6, and the knight on f6 is always a good defender in front of the king. So when we advance the pawn here in e5, look at this, the knight doesn't have access to the f6 square. From this point on, I think white can build really a beautiful attacking formation, maybe with ideas h3, knight to h2, f4, f5, bishop to g5, knight to g5. So many tactical opportunities, but only I think here for white. Although black didn't make so far inaccuracies, mistakes, or blunders, but as I said, I really never liked the lack of defenders in front of black's king here on the king side. So we have now the move g3, preparing h4, h5. So as we said, this pawn chain is showing us the direction of the attack, so that's why we have to now attack the king side immediately. So a5, this move I really didn't like by black, although it's not evaluated maybe as an inaccuracy or something, but This move is allowing here Stockfish 15 to have some spaces here around the square b5. Okay, black has also now a nice grip on b4, but this move a5 I think gives here simply too much spaces for Stockfish. Here I think black, as I said, has to somewhere create some chances on the queen side. With this move a5 a5, I think black has lost all of the attacking possibilities here on the queen side. Maybe it was better to play queen to b6 immediately, but you see now how problematic this move a5 will be in the continuation of the game, because as I said, it leaves simply the b5 square unprotected. So now Stockfish blocks it out immediately. a4 creates a blockade here on the queen side, knight from c to a8, and now a7, pardon me, bishop to e3, supporting now here the pawn on d4, and now queen to b6, hitting the pawn on b2. But this is a poisoned pawn. You probably know about this concept. So when the queen is attacking this pawn in some lines, you can even sacrifice the pawn, but then eventually attack the queen with some rook activities, or maybe also to trap the queen with the knight. For instance, after move rook from f to c1 that Stockfish played here, if you pick up the pawn, this wasn't played in the game, but of course, look at this, rook to b1, the queen has only one good square, and look at this now, the bishop is now taking also a natural square for the queen to escape. Now comes the beautiful queen to c2, and now there is a huge threat with rook to a1, rook to b1, and knight to b5 in some lines is an opportunity. For instance, you can try knight to b4, but we simply step back, and now rook to b3, for instance, is an opportunity to immediately trap the queen. So strange position, of course, here for black. You could maybe, instead of this move knight to b4, try bishop to d8, but again, rook takes b7 is getting in a beautiful way into the game. There are now some threats on the 7th rank. Again, a messed up game here for black, and again black cannot use the e7 square in order to escape with the queen. So no possible moves are here for black around the square b2. So that's why the Clover engine played knight to b4, hitting the queen. Queen drops back on e2, rook to c8, h4, continuing simply the pressure. As we said, this is the side that we're attacking, although black didn't castle so far on the king side, but still Stockfish is continuing the pressure, because in one moment you will have to castle in order to get the rook connection, because so far black can maybe compete on the c file, but white's rooks are connected. So if you don't connect your own rooks, you will eventually lose the battle on the only open file, of course, on the c file. So that's why after move rook to c6 that the Clover engine played, we have now king to g2, getting out of this mess, supporting also maybe the progress of the h pawn by playing rook to h1, then h5, h6. In the game, queen to a6. Good choice, I think, by Clover to maybe simplify the game by trading off the queens, because I think it's a playable then position for black. But of course, Stockfish is not allowing this scenario. Plays a beautiful defensive but also attacking move, knight to b5. If you take, of course, then you get the fork here against the queen and the rook. So this is not possible. So now finally kingside castling. Now Stockfish is announcing again the possibility of the kingside attack. Waited simply now black to castle, and now is threatening, of course, to move h6. If you allow that, for instance, if you play something else, if h6 happen, then you could maybe pass through with the move g6, but then you'll face many dark square problems on on g5, but also here on the square f6. So h6 has to be prevented. So that's why the Clover engine played now the move h6. But suddenly, this pawn on h6 becomes also a tactical problem, because there are even some opportunities maybe to sacrifice the bishop on h6 and then maybe to take out the pawn on h6. So it's sometimes very dangerous. So that's why I think this game is really a beautiful instructive game, not only about strategies, because many times I think in some advanced variations of the Caro-Kann, but also of the French defense, you get similar position, and then you want to know if there's maybe a possibility to sack the bishop on h6. So we have now rook to c3. Good move here by Stockfish. If you play rook takes c3, b takes c3, kicks away the knight, this active knight on b4 from our side of the board. So the knight will have to retreat here on c6, and then Stockfish doesn't have any more to worry about this annoying knight on our side of the board. We have rook to a8, rook to h1. Stockfish slowly but surely, you know, builds this attacking formation, supports now also this pawn, and is maybe in some lines even trying to make further progress here with the move g5. So knight to a2, attacking the rook to b3, supporting him further the knight on b5, and now comes maybe the crucial mistake of the game. Here the Clover engine plays now the move rook to c7. Gets of course in front of the knight, but so far you cannot take the rook because the queen is hanging on e2. But as I said, sometimes we should really worry about this move bishop to h6, because a better choice was maybe to play rook to c4. Now we play something like queen to d2. We're threatening maybe the move bishop to h6, but I think with knight to b5, c takes b5, queen to b6, maybe there are now some chances, bishop to h6, queen to h6, but at least this rook is active. Maybe we can also get the bishop somehow into defense, maybe also even the queen somehow into defense. Maybe this was the way to go. But rook to c7, a huge problem, because this gives now Stockfish an opportunity to sack the bishop immediately, and that's now the move of the game. Bishop takes h6, a bishop sacrifice, g takes h6, queen to e3 comes with an attack, but also it comes with the defensive idea to get out of this tactical mess. Now there is also the threat of knight takes c7, because the queen is not endangered anymore on this light square diagonal. So huge mistake by the Clover engine. In the game we have knight takes b5, nothing wrong. A takes b5, hitting the queen, queen draws back, and now we pick up the pawn on h6. We have now the move a4, attacking the rook, but Stockfish ignores the threat, plays now the move knight to g5. If you take, of course, then you get queen to h7, queen to f7, a beautiful checkmate. So this is not working. You have to take out now the knight. Queen takes g5 comes with a check. After king to h7, you have to defend yourself like this. If you play something like king to f8, this is not working. This pawn is marching. h6, you can maybe try a takes b3, will simply push the pawn further, and now there is the threat of here the promotion on h8. If you play something like king to e8 instead of taking this pawn on b3, still h6, h7 is the threat. King to d7, and now queen to g8 is winning the game. We will attack this pawn and also threaten the promotion. You can maybe take out the queen, but we'll get an extra queen, and then again the game is over. So you can maybe try rook to d8 or something, but then rook takes d8, takes, and now getting the queen again here, very active. So it's simply not working. So after move queen to g5, that's why king to h7. We have now a rook to f3. Stockfish rook was loose on b3 a couple of moves, but now the rook is coming in a beautiful way into the game. Rook to f6, and now queen to h6 are the threats. Of course, Clover plays rook to g8, the only defensive move. Stockfish drops back. We have now the move f5, trying to get a new defender into the game. And now after e takes f6 en passant, rook to f7 and rook to a1. Believe me or not, in this position, the Clover engine, after 33 moves, resigned. Really wild stuff. Stockfish destroyed the Caro-Kann defense in top engine level in only 33 moves. Really amazing. Let's see possible continuations. I've analyzed the game a little bit deeper by playing the top suggested moves now by the top engines. For instance, black continues with queen to b5, with hit now the knight on a2. You can maybe try to get the queen into the game, but now again this rook is coming into the game. That's the issue. You play something like b5, you want to maybe create here a pattern, but now the queen again comes in an active way here into the game. This pawn is supported. You can maybe try to trade off the queens, simplifying the game, but actually white will welcome this move, because after queen to b8, rook to b8, we are finally connecting three passers here on the king side. If we get the pawn on g5, I think you can resign the game immediately. Three passers storming on these three files. It's simply unstoppable for rook. In order to prevent it, you have to maybe play king to h6. Now the king gets closer. You can maybe try something like this, but now the winning idea is a rook to e1 and the rook to e5. We'll simply get the king out of the g file, and now we'll play king to h4 and then g5, g6. The pawns are rolling. Game is over. You can maybe try rook to f6, but then the king gets deflected from the defense of the rook, and the game is over again for black. So stunning game, I think. Incredible game. Cool strategies here in the Caro-Kann defense, but then also cool tactics. Never forget about this tactic. We have, as we said, a space advantage on e5, and then look at this. We're trying to provoke some weaknesses here. Notice that black has a lack of defenders in front of the king, so I think this is very instructive game here against the Caro-Kann defense. So okay, I hope that you enjoyed this game. I really enjoyed it a lot. Interesting ideas of this beautiful opening for sure. If you want to see more Caro-Kann defense games, check out our playlist so far, and also if you like to see maybe more brutal and beautiful Stockfish 15 games, check out our commented chess games played by computer series. And if you like this content, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you soon with some more videos, and what to say, chess is the best, of course.